Hey, CoCreateX. This is Dick Polipnick here, and I am here with Sebastian Titz, and you work at 3M for their venture capital firm. Is that correct?
Yes, 3M Ventures.
Okay, awesome. So 3M Ventures, and then where can they find that if they wanted to look you up?
Just Google 3M Ventures. It gets you to our homepage. We don't have a URL.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So what we're going to kind of dive into in this video is how we're going to learn what Sebastian looks for in startups or in, you said that you invest in usually late Series A. Is that correct?
Late Series A or later.
Okay, or beyond. Okay, so later ventures, so that when you're starting to scale, when you already are receiving revenue, what it is that investors and people like Sebastian who represent these big firms, these big funds, what they're looking for to invest in your company. So like, what's the number one thing that you do to find companies? Do you go to events? Do you cold call? Do people call you?
All three of them. We go to a lot of trade shows, look for specific topics. Since we've been doing this now for 8 years, we know a lot of people in the VC industry, get introductions, which if you want to talk to us and somebody that knows us, a warm introduction is always the best way to get to know a VC.
Sure.
And then we get a lot of deal flow from within 3M. So companies that are already working with our businesses that are interested in getting funding and getting to introduce to us that way.
Sure. So when you say that they're working with 3M, like, are they like, could they be like a current supplier or something like that?
We are very open to what working with 3M means. It could be a supplier-customer relationship. It could be some kind of technical development or a market-facing distribution topic, but some kind of interaction with 3M.
Right, that they've already had in their existing time as a company. That's okay. Got
yes. So that's a good way to get in touch with us.
Sure. So do you guys stick to a certain kind of industry or a portfolio of niches that you guys go for, or do you look at any kind of company from fintech to, products?
No, all the investments need to be related to industries 3M is active in.
Okay.
So a lot of materials topics, Internet of Things to make products smarter, and increasingly more AI and data science driven topics related to the sensor technology.
Sure. So when you're sitting in on these companies, let's say that you meet with 10 companies in a day, what is something that a company can do to make them stand out to you versus the other 9?
The number one thing for a good investment is the leadership team. So we want to meet the founders, understand why they are doing it, what drives them, and how they see the future of the company. So for us, really that's the number one criteria, and often it's the hardest thing. The team needs to be well established. You need to have some diversity in the team from experience, ages, things like that, to make a convincing startup. I think that's the number one thing we're looking for. And after that, understanding your markets. It's often you have a great idea, but you still need to know the existing markets that you want to penetrate.
And that involves competitors, customers, or
competitor, customers, but especially what criteria do your customers have to make the acquisition? What is the criteria they have to make the buying decision in the end?
Sure. So what their competitive advantages in their market. Right.
Yes, but also like, what are your customers really like? What is the criteria they're looking for when they decide to buy you or your competitor?
Sure. Okay. So you had mentioned earlier about how the most important thing to you is their leadership team. So does it matter to you if it's a bigger team versus a smaller team?
No, the team size needs to fit the stage of the company, but no, it depends. Like a very early company, 10 people is enough. Later stage, it obviously grows.
Right.
But for us, really, the experience and the composition of the team matters the most.
Gotcha. So, since you said that you really want to meet all the leadership team in like a pitch competition per se, it's usually 1 or 2 of the team members. Do you make an effort if you're interested in pursuing a relationship with them further to meet the other members of their team? Like, is it beneficial for them to bring along their whole team when they're pitching to investors?
No, I think if the 2 people pitching are convincing, then we would just schedule a follow-up meeting or follow-up call as a next step. And get to know the people that way.
Sure. So How many meetings do you usually have?
Depends if the company is local or further away. If they're local, several of them trying to sit into some of their meetings and things like that.
Sure.
Further away, we try to get the leadership team to 3M's headquarters so we can expose them to a bigger group of 3M people and get the inputs that way.
Sure. So that way you're getting opinions from multiple people in
just once, but for multiple people at the same time.
Cool. So at what point do you decide to bring them to the people at 3M and say, hey, I think this is a startup that we should be looking into investing?
Yeah, if they've passed the initial sniff test, have a team, have a valid product idea, and show some kind of customer traction, then I start talking to people in 3M. Is it something that could be interesting and you want to learn more?
Sure.
So quite early on in the project, other 3M people get involved.
Gotcha. So I kind of want to talk about how you said earlier before we started recording is that revenue, is important to you when you're looking at a company. So do you think revenue in general, or do you actually look for profitability, like they're actually making they're getting past the break-even point, or what kind of matters to you when you're looking at the finances?
So first thing is really, do they make revenue? Is somebody paying for their product?
Sure.
So that's
a proof of concept.
Proof of concept, some kind of market validation is the first thing. And profitability comes later on. Most companies, most startups are not profitable for a long time. That's okay. That's why they're raising money. But the unit economics need to show a way to profitability. So you say, if I make 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 of that, I can reach profitability because of. You need to have a logical story how you become profitable sometime down the road. But in the beginning, it's really more, if somebody gives you $1 million, it shows that there is a value to the product to somebody.
Sure. So what's like the biggest success story that you personally have worked with?
I think one of the best investments I was involved with was in a smart sensor company. They made a heart rate sensor, breathing sensor, basically a wearable device for industrial application. We were a little bit early in the curve, so it was 4 or 5 years ago before this whole IoT wearable device thing really took off.
Right.
But they had a great technology, got acquired by a big medical device company. The team continued to grow at the medical device company, so that was a nice storyline. And like a year later or 2 years later, they might have had an even bigger exit, but it was good to see that we spotted the relevant trend early enough to make a good investment.
Awesome. So what do you do as like a startup, what I would say like a filter, an investment filter? Like you're looking at dozens and dozens of these, and you only pick a specific few, and even fewer than that you actually end up investing in. So how do you keep up on the trends? I mean, like, because everybody's trying to keep up on trends nowadays. Are there specific resources, people you learn from?
It's a good question. I think it's supply and demand. So some stuff that was popular when I started in 2011, like solar technology, we don't get any companies anymore. So that's clearly not a trend anymore.
Right.
Other topics, you meet other VCs, you see where new funds are being created. So currently it's big trends for sure are blockchain, AI, and related hardware components for both of those. So you see a lot of things around that, and just the ecosystem develops. New funds appear, existing funds start their side projects in that space. And so that's how I get to know the trends. And since we don't do seed stage, when we get to see the companies, there's already some kind of validation of the trend.
Sure, that it's actually not just a fling, it's actually something that's going to make an impact. It could be profitable at the end of the day.
Or it might still be a fling, nobody knows, but
right.
At least other people put some money into it. It's the initial vesting, and they grew from there. So
Sure. So what is one resource that you think startup teams should be looking at, learning, whether it's a book to read, a movie to watch, something like that you think that they would benefit from?
One single resource. I think startups should look more for non-dilutive funding. The government has so many programs, especially if you do anything with hardware or manufacturing, that I think look there for money. It's a lot of paperwork, but if you get it, it doesn't dilute you. It doesn't put any pressure on your cap table. So I would like to see more startups that look for alternative financings, not only for VCs.
Okay. And then the last question, what is like the biggest mistake that you see entrepreneurs coming in and making when they're pitching you their business?
They assume to know why 3M is interested in them. And often we find the technology interesting, but have very different ideas what we can do with it. So come to us, talk with an open mind. If we talk, there is some reason behind it, but we might not share it in the first meeting.
Okay, so it's something that it would be to their advantage to just kind of keep the end game, or why you would, what you could do with their company in your portfolio, open to the imagination until further meetings come.
Yeah. So don't have a preconceived notion of why 3M would be a good partner.
Sure. So you think that's actually that actually hurts their pitch when they're trying to sell you on the possibilities?
When they try to sell us one specific idea instead of just pitching us their core technology and letting us explore what we could do with it.
Or all the possibilities.
All the possibilities, exactly.
Awesome.
So don't go in too narrow.
Yeah, that's a really good.
It's valid for a lot of broadly set up VCs.
Awesome. Is there anything last little comments that you can think of, or what's something that I didn't ask you about that you think they would benefit from?
Can't think of anything right now.
All right, perfect. Good. Well, thank you for your time, Sebastian. It was fun talking to you.
Yeah.
I come from a town where most of the people are so close-minded. They go into school and they work in a job, but they don't even like it. I won't be put in a box. Nobody telling me what I should rock. Nobody telling me what I should drop. Cause I do what I want and just know I don't stop. Recording till 4 in the morning, they snoring. I'm pouring my soul into every story. I'm writing, producing, I mix it, I master. I'm building my craft and I'm not looking back. I've been going doing things I want to do when I want to.